Imagine if the Chosen One never fell to the dark side. Picture Anakin Skywalker, tormented by his visions of Padmé's death, making a different choice. Instead of seeking power from Emperor Palpatine, what if he fled to the most sacred place in the galaxy, the first Jedi Temple on Ahch-To? Today we explore how this single decision would rewrite the entire Star Wars saga. The Empire might never rise. Luke and Leia's destiny would be completely different, and what Anakin discovers will change galactic history forever. Our story begins at Anakin's breaking point. The visions of Padmé's death have consumed him for weeks, growing more vivid and terrifying with each passing night. He sees her dying in childbirth, calling his name as life fades from her eyes. These aren't just dreams anymore. They feel like glimpses of an inevitable future that grows more certain with each passing hour. The nightmares come with such intensity that Anakin barely sleeps. He sees the exact medical facility, the specific complications, even the words she'll speak in her final moments. The clarity is unlike anything the Jedi teach about foresight, which is supposed to be clouded and uncertain. These visions feel more like memories of events that have already happened. In our original timeline, this desperation drove Anakin straight into Palpatine's web of manipulation. But what if, in those crucial moments of absolute terror, Anakin remembered something his master had told him years earlier? During a long hyperspace journey when Anakin was still a Padawan, Obi-Wan had mentioned Ahch-To, the first temple, built on an ocean world at the very edge of known space. Obi-Wan had described it as a place where the earliest Jedi sought wisdom in their darkest hours, where the Force itself was said to flow more clearly than anywhere else in the galaxy. The original Jedi weren't the warrior diplomats of the modern era, but something far more mystical. Seekers who understood the Force as the very fabric of existence that could be damaged by conflict and, more importantly, could be repaired. Young Anakin had dismissed it as ancient history, but now, facing the most impossible choice of his life, those words echo with new significance. What if the answers he desperately needs aren't in the Jedi archives or in Palpatine's promises of dark power? What if they're waiting in a place so ancient that even the Jedi Council has forgotten its true purpose? The decision crystallizes during one particularly vivid nightmare. He wakes screaming Padmé's name and knows what he must do. Under cover of darkness, he accesses restricted navigation charts, using his status as a hero of the Clone Wars to find coordinates buried deep in the oldest records. He leaves Coruscant without telling anyone, not Obi-Wan, not the Council, and most painfully, not even Padmé. The journey to Ahch-To proves unlike anything Anakin has ever experienced. The hyperspace routes grow increasingly unstable as he ventures into regions that haven't been properly charted in millennia. What's particularly unsettling is how empty this region of space feels, not just of ships, but of the background presence of sentient life that he's grown accustomed to sensing through the Force. But something else begins to happen during the long, solitary journey. The visions that have been plaguing him start to change. Instead of the sharp, terrifying clarity of Padmé's death, he begins to see glimpses of ancient Jedi in meditation poses he's never seen before. Massive stone structures rising from turbulent seas, and most strangely, his own face, but older and somehow more at peace. The Force itself seems different out here. Instead of the constant noise and chaos of Coruscant, there's a deep, profound silence that allows him to sense things he's never noticed before. For the first time in weeks, Anakin feels something approaching peace. The desperate urgency begins to settle into determined purpose. When Ahch-To finally appears, Anakin feels genuine awe. The planet is a world of endless oceans broken only by scattered islands topped with structures so old they seem to have grown from the stone itself. The Force presence here is overwhelming, not threatening, but like standing before something infinitely greater than himself. Landing proves challenging on the rough stone platforms clearly never intended for modern spacecraft. The climb to the temple is treacherous on steps worn smooth by millennia of weather. Strange, bird-like creatures watch his progress with intelligent eyes, and he senses they're more than just animals. They're guardians who have been protecting this sacred place for longer than civilizations have existed elsewhere. Unlike Luke decades later, Anakin doesn't find a hermit master waiting. The temple is truly abandoned by the Jedi. Though caretakers move through the halls with purpose, tending to structures they clearly understand better than any modern being. They regard Anakin with curiosity but not surprise, as if they've been expecting someone like him. What Anakin discovers within the temple walls defies everything he thought he knew about Jedi history. These halls were built for contemplation and connection with the Force, not for housing thousands of Jedi or managing galactic politics. Every surface is covered with carvings and murals depicting Jedi who look nothing like the warrior diplomats he knows. The original Jedi were healers of reality itself, individuals who understood that the Force was the very fabric of existence that could be damaged by conflict and hatred, and could be repaired by those with the knowledge and will to do so. The techniques depicted in these murals are completely different from anything taught in the modern order, methods for detecting and healing wounds in the Force itself. But it's when he finds the original Jedi texts that his understanding truly begins to shatter. These are the complete, unedited records of the first Jedi, containing knowledge that the modern order had actively chosen to abandon as too dangerous. The texts contain techniques for seeing the future clearly, without the confusion and terror that had plagued Anakin's visions. The modern teaching that the future was always clouded wasn't entirely true. It was clouded because the Force itself had been damaged by millennia of conflict. More shocking still are the records of other chosen ones throughout history. The prophecy wasn't unique to Anakin, it was cyclical. Every few thousand years, when damage to the Force became too severe, it would select a champion to attempt repairs. Some succeeded partially, others failed catastrophically. What set this cycle apart was the extent of damage that needed repair. The current era had seen more large-scale conflict and suffering than any previous period. The holographic records left by previous chosen ones tell stories that make Anakin's heart race with recognition. A warrior who saw visions of loved ones dying and sought power to prevent it, only to become the very force that destroyed what he sought to protect. A healer who tried to use the dark side for good ends, only to watch her noble intentions corrupted. But there are success stories too, chosen ones who fulfilled their destiny without falling to darkness. The key lay not in power or sacrifice, but in understanding the true nature of balance. The Force wasn't meant to be ruled by light or dark. It was meant to exist in harmony, with both aspects integrated rather than one destroying the other. The most shocking revelation comes from the deepest archives. The wound in the Force wasn't caused by conflict between light and dark. It was caused by attempts to separate them. The ancient Jedi understood that light and dark are aspects of the same Force, like two sides of a coin that cannot exist without each other. The problems began when later generations tried to purge all darkness from themselves and the galaxy, creating an imbalance that manifested as the Sith. True balance doesn't mean choosing between light and dark. It means integrating them, accepting that both creation and destruction, hope and fear, love and loss are necessary parts of existence. The Chosen One's real purpose isn't to tip the scales, but to heal the artificial separation that has caused galactic-scale suffering. Anakin trains in techniques completely different from modern Jedi methods. These are practices for entering the Force itself, becoming temporarily one with the cosmic energy connecting all things. It's terrifying at first. His sense of individual identity begins to dissolve, and he experiences being connected to every living thing simultaneously. But as he grows comfortable with these deeper states, he begins to understand mysteries that had always eluded him. His emotions aren't a weakness, they're aspects of his sensitivity to cosmic forces. The ancient techniques teach him to use emotions as tools. Love becomes a way of connecting with life energy. Fear becomes an early warning system. Even anger, properly channeled, becomes a tool for recognizing injustice. His visions begin to change as training progresses. Instead of sharp, terrifying glimpses of disaster, he sees the complex web of cause and effect leading to different possible futures. He sees the timeline where his fear drives him to Palpatine, where he becomes Darth Vader, but he also sees futures where different choices lead to Padmé living, their children growing up in peace, the Republic evolving rather than falling to tyranny. Most importantly, he understands his role in creating these possibilities. The Chosen One prophecy isn't about predetermined fate. It's about having the power to choose which future becomes reality. His extraordinary Force sensitivity gives him the ability to see consequences before actions are taken, and to guide events in ways that prevent the worst outcomes. Then Yoda's message arrives like lightning-shattering tranquility. The hologram reveals the full scope of catastrophe, the Jedi Order being systematically destroyed, Padmé arrested on fabricated charges, Obi-Wan trapped and hunted. The Clone Wars have escalated beyond imagination, with entire systems obliterated and refugee crises numbering in billions. This is the moment the prophecies spoke of, when the Chosen One must act or watch the galaxy destroy itself. But Anakin is no longer the same man who fled Coruscant in desperation. He has mastered ancient arts of Force healing and temporal sight. He can see the exact web of cause and effect leading to each possible future, and more importantly, he knows how to change it. Anakin returns to the galaxy as something unprecedented, a Jedi who has integrated light and dark, fear and hope, attachment and letting go. His first stop is Coruscant, going directly to the source of corruption, Chancellor Palpatine. The confrontation is unlike anything in Star Wars. Palpatine tries his usual manipulation, promising power over death, but Anakin sees through every lie with perfect clarity. When the Chancellor reveals himself as Darth Sidious and attacks, Anakin doesn't fight with traditional techniques. He uses ancient Force healing in reverse, not to mend wounds, but to heal the fundamental corruption in Palpatine's connection to the Force itself. The result is catastrophic for the Sith. Palpatine doesn't die. Something worse happens. His connection to the dark side is severed completely, leaving him as nothing more than a confused old man who can barely remember his schemes. The vast network of Sith influence collapses overnight. With Palpatine neutralized, the false evidence against the Jedi crumbles. Padmé is released, the persecution ends, and the true masterminds behind the Clone Wars are exposed. But Anakin doesn't stop there. Using his newfound abilities, he begins healing the Force itself on a galactic scale. Battlefields saturated with death and hatred suddenly bloom with life. Planets poisoned by dark side energy begin to recover. The Clone Wars don't just end, they're transformed. Without Sith manipulation, the underlying conflicts can be addressed through negotiation. The separatist systems realize they've been manipulated and agree to rejoin the Republic under new terms that address their original grievances. Most remarkably, Anakin saves Padmé not through power over death, but by healing the very causes that would have led to her demise. His visions had shown him that her death was connected to the cosmic imbalance he was meant to fix. By healing the Force itself, he eliminates the chain of events that would have endangered her life. The Jedi Order, faced with undeniable proof that their understanding was incomplete, begins to evolve. Anakin shares the ancient techniques, teaching that emotion and attachment aren't inherently dangerous. It's the refusal to acknowledge and integrate them that causes problems. In this transformed timeline, Luke and Leia grow up in a galaxy at peace. Their father isn't the fallen Darth Vader, but the Chosen One who fulfilled his destiny through healing rather than destroying. The Republic doesn't fall and become an empire. It evolves into something better, a true democracy that has learned from its mistakes. But perhaps most importantly, the cycle of Chosen Ones is finally broken. By healing the fundamental wound in the Force, Anakin eliminates the need for future champions. The Force achieves true balance for the first time in galactic history. However, this perfect healing creates unexpected ripple effects. The balanced Force sends waves of change across the galaxy, touching every Force-sensitive being. Jedi, former Sith cultists, and even untrained individuals start experiencing unprecedented clarity of perception that shows them the intricate connections between all living things. At first, this enhanced perception seems like a gift. Force users can sense emotional states across entire star systems, feel the health of ecosystems, the happiness of populations. But this awareness comes with a terrible cost. Many become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, feeling every death, every birth, every moment of joy and suffering simultaneously across billions of worlds. The effects spread beyond Force users. Politicians find themselves unable to lie convincingly. Criminal organizations discover their plans are somehow always anticipated. Even simple deceptions become nearly impossible as people develop intuitive senses for detecting dishonesty. On Coruscant, Anakin experiences the most powerful manifestation. He finds himself connected to every living being the Force touches, feeling the thoughts and emotions of billions simultaneously. At first, he resists this overwhelming connection, but the ancient techniques teach him to accept and channel it instead. He realizes this isn't a malfunction. It's the natural result of perfect Force balance. For the first time in galactic history, all living things are truly connected through the Force in a way that transcends species, distance, and individual consciousness. But as Anakin struggles to maintain his identity while experiencing universal connection, he senses something stirring in the depths of space. The perfect balance has sent ripples beyond the known galaxy, and something ancient has taken notice. The healing hasn't just affected the known galaxy, it's reverberated across the entire universe, reaching corners where civilizations older than the Republic once thrived and fell. Ancient powers dormant for millions of years are beginning to stir, drawn by the unprecedented balance Anakin achieved. These aren't malevolent forces in any conventional sense, but cosmic entities operating on scales beyond mortal comprehension. They perceive the newly balanced Force as a disruption to patterns that have existed since the beginning of time. To them, Anakin's healing isn't salvation. It's an unwelcome change to the natural order they feel compelled to correct. As these ancient presences move toward the galaxy, Anakin realizes his success may have created an entirely new category of threat. He solved the immediate crisis, but may have attracted attention from beings whose existence operates beyond good and evil, light and dark. The chosen one who healed the galaxy now faces the possibility that his greatest achievement may have endangered not just his timeline, but the fundamental structure of reality itself. If you've enjoyed this journey through an alternate Star Wars timeline, there are more untold stories waiting to be discovered. Join our growing community of Star Wars enthusiasts who believe in exploring these what-if moments that could have changed the galaxy far, far away. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and activate notifications to catch our next alternative Star Wars story. Each tale offers a new perspective on the characters we love and the choices that define them. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. What other pivotal moments in the Star Wars saga would you like to see explored differently? Your ideas might inspire our next adventure. May the Force be with you, always.